Hi, I'm Dan Kromarski, and today I'd like to talk about something that every adult with ADHD, or parent of a child with ADHD, has heard at some point or other. The idea that ADHD itself isn't real. You may have heard this from one of your nutty in-laws, or from someone butting into your internet support group, or even someone you love whose opinions you normally respect. There are many varieties of this idea, some of which have a fair amount of truth to them, and others are almost completely loony. Now, I'm going to start by giving you the short answer, which is almost always the best answer to this. And then I'm going to move on and give you some information that will help you in the few situations where you might not want to go for the short answer, okay? The short answer, the best answer to people who say that ADHD isn't real, is not to engage with them at all. I'm going to repeat that. The best answer is silence. You're probably not going to change anybody's mind, and you only frustrate yourself trying. Never argue with a fool. People might not be able to tell the difference. The internet says Mark Twain said this, and he didn't. Anyhow. A lot of people who say this are just trying to aggravate you anyway, and you really shouldn't let them. Don't let them get away with it. Just ignore them. Silence is the best. Of course, there are going to be situations where you have to engage with these people. Perhaps one of them is a family member or a loved one, or perhaps you've heard this sentiment expressed by one of your children's teachers or by someone responsible for your child's care. Or perhaps someone sincerely asks you whether ADHD is a real thing, looking to be informed. In these cases, it's best to determine two things very quickly: what the questioner means by the phrase, ADHD isn't real, and what counts as evidence for that particular person. Let's take an extreme case to start. I've occasionally heard it said, it's rare, but it's out there, that big pharmaceutical companies working together in a global conspiracy invented ADHD in order to make more money, addicting children to Ritalin, Adderall, and similar drugs. Any evidence from the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual, or the National Institute of Mental Health, or the Centers for Disease Control, it doesn't count because they're all part of the conspiracy. And you know something? Even this theory has a grain of truth. There is a group responsible for the overdiagnosis of ADHD, but it's not the big pharmaceutical companies, it's the schools. And yes, ADHD is overdiagnosed. But just because something is overdiagnosed doesn't mean it's not there. Our society puts so much pressure on children at such a young age that what we now consider normal can, for many children, only be achieved with medication. That's a shame, and our schools and our society are largely to blame. But just because a brain disorder is more prevalent now in today's society than it ever was before, does not make it invented or made up. What about a softer example, something like this? Isn't ADHD just kids behaving badly? It's a made-up name to excuse kids for being naughty. Now, this isn't as radical as the big pharma invented ADHD idea, but it's much more common, and therefore it's much more dangerous. Personally, if I must engage with someone who holds this view, I like to do so by analogy. First, I accept that every medical term, strep throat, pneumonia, epilepsy, is a made-up name. Let's take epilepsy. Epilepsy is a word we made up to describe seizure disorders. Before we knew what epilepsy was, we thought people who had seizures were possessed by the devil. Even before we knew exactly what caused epilepsy, there were some treatments, not cures, but they worked some of the time. Today, we're pretty advanced in our knowledge of what epilepsy is and how to deal with it. We no longer need to use brain surgery most of the time because we have found drugs that are effective in controlling seizures. If we had given up, if we had just said, oh, there's no such thing as epilepsy, it's a made-up name for people who are possessed by the devil, we would never have discovered the drugs that make so many people's lives so much richer today. ADHD is similar. It's a phrase we made up to describe clinically significant deficiencies in attention and focus. Even though we're still researching the cause of ADHD, we have some treatments, not cures, but they work some of the time. If we give up, if we say there's no such thing as ADHD, it's a made-up name for kids who are naughty, well, our society is not going to stop demanding more and more attention from all of us, children and adults. And the research into life-enhancing drugs for children and adults will have stalled. My own name is Daniel Jacob Kromarski. It's a made-up name. My parents made it up. But that doesn't mean I don't exist. Thanks for listening. Hey everyone, thanks for watching. If you want more information on ADHD, we've created a site that includes our expert-curated list of clear, authoritative resources. These free resources will help you find answers to your basic questions about ADHD, understand why middle school is so challenging for ADHD students, and introduce you to ADHD support groups and other sites to help you meet your child's needs at school and at home. Visit the link in the description below and on your screen. You can also join our own ADHD education and support group for parents, where you can get direct help from other parents with shared experiences. And don't forget to subscribe to this YouTube channel to get updated when we make new videos. Thanks again for watching. Until next time.